Photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplast of a leaf. It has two sets of reactions, the light-dependent reaction and the Calvin cycle. Inside the chloroplast there are thylakoids, which is where the light-dependent reactions take place. This is where light energy is converted into chemical energy. The reactants are 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus energy. In photosystem 2, molecules absorb the light and the light energy excites electrons in the phospholipid bilayer. Then the electrons pass through the electron transport chain. Meanwhile, H2O breaks apart, the hydrogen electrons going into photosystem 2 and the rest are free floating electrons, and oxygen combines with another oxygen to form gas. When electrons transport through the electron transport chain, the energy is used to pump hydrogen ions from the stroma to the thylakoid, making a concentration gradient. Electrons go to the photosystem 1, then the electron transport chain, where they are used to reduce the electron carrier NADP+ to NADPH. There is also a protein called ATP synthase that converts ADP into ATP. NADPH and ATP is used in the second phase of photosynthesis, the Calvin cycle, which occurs in the stroma. The Calvin cycle has 3 steps. The first is carbon fixation. CO2 combines with 5 carbon molecules to make 6 CO2, then breaks apart to form 2 3-carbon molecules. The second step is reduction. This is where chemical energy in ATP and NADPH helps reduce carbon dioxide. ATP provides phosphate and NADPH provides hydrogen electrons. The final step is the regeneration of RUBP. For every 3 turns of the cycle, 5 molecules of G3P are used to reform 3 molecules of RUBP. 3 ATP is added to the molecules. The remaining G3P is used to make glucose. The Calvin cycle has to run 6 times to produce 1 molecule of glucose. C6H12O6 plus 6O2 is the products of photosynthesis, but also the reactants for cellular respiration. The first step is glycolysis, which is where glucose is broken down, and this occurs in the cytoplasm of a cell. 2 ATP molecules transfer energy to the 6-carbon glucose molecule. It then breaks down into 2 3-carbon compounds. 2 phosphates are added and electrons and hydrogen ions combine with 2 NAD+ molecules to form 2 NADH molecules. Lastly, 2 3-carbon compounds are converted into 2 pyruvate molecules, and at the same time 4 molecules of ATP are produced. The second stage of cellular respiration is the Krebs cycle, which occurs in the mitochondria. Acetyl-CoA combines with a 4-carbon compound to form a 6-carbon compound known as citric acid. Citric acid is then broken down by releasing 2 molecules of CO2 and generating 1 ATP, 3 NADH, and 1 FADH2. Finally, acetyl-CoA and citric acid are generated and the cycle continues. The final stage in cellular respiration is electron transport, which occurs in the mitochondrial membrane. Electrons move along the membrane from one protein to another. NADH and FADH2 release electrons, and hydrogen ions are released into the intermembrane space across the inner mitochondrial membrane. Hydrogen ions then diffuse down the concentration gradient back across the membrane and into the matrix through ATP synthase. Oxygen diffuses through the membrane and combines with protons and electrons to form water. 24 ATP are made during this process too. The products of cellular respiration are 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus energy, which is also the reactants of photosynthesis.